Anathapindika was a trader of fancy goods. His real name was Suratha. However, he was given the name Anathapindika because he loved to help the poor. The name Anathapindika literally means one who gives alms to the poor, Pindika, and helpless, Anatha. With a caravan of hundreds of carts packed with valuable goods, the wealthy merchant would visit various cities. One of these cities, Rajagaha, was a major hub of business. In Rajagaha, there was a wealthy merchant who was also Anathapindika's good friend. Every time Anathapindika went to Rajagaha, he stayed with his friend. Normally, the two wealthy merchants would sit and chat and have a good time together. However, this time, Anathapindika's friend did not have time for him. His wealthy friend was busy setting up a large event. When they had a minute to talk, Anathapindika said, "My friend, is there a grand ceremony or party? You seem to be very busy setting up something grand. Are you inviting the king over or something?" "Anathapindika, you are mistaken. Tomorrow, I have invited the Buddha and his monks to receive alms at my house." "Did you say Buddha? What do you mean? A real Buddha? There is one in the world? I thought that was just a fairy tale." "Yes, my friend. There really is a Buddha in the world, and he is coming here tomorrow." "Oh, my dear friend, where is he right now? Can I go see him? Is that all right? Please be patient. He will be here tomorrow." Anathapindika tried to fall asleep quickly so that the next day would arrive sooner. However, he couldn't stop thinking about the Buddha and woke up every few minutes hoping it was morning. Eventually, Anathapindika could not bear waiting any longer. He decided to try to find the Buddha. However, it wasn't morning yet, and the city gates were closed. Ghostly spirits helped open the gates so that Anathapindika could walk out. Along the way, Anathapindika became scared. But each time, the spirits encouraged him with these words: "One step forward is worth more than all the riches in the world. The journey forward is auspicious. Overcome your fear, wealthy man, and you shall reap rewards." And with their encouragement, Anathapindika kept going forward. At dawn, Anathapindika arrived at the edge of the Sitawana forest. There, he saw the Buddha in walking meditation. The Buddha saw him and said, "Come, Suratha." Anathapindika was shocked that the Buddha knew his real name. He had been called Anathapindika for so long that most people he knew for many years weren't even aware that Anathapindika was not his real name. After he sat down, Anathapindika nervously greeted the Buddha. "Greetings, my lord. Did you sleep well?" The Buddha responded, "One who has ended desires and all evil deeds always sleeps well. One who is not tied to love is calm. Freedom from desires always provides good sleep. One who has ended attachments through wisdom can calm an uneasy mind, and thus will always sleep pleasantly." Anathapindika was impressed by the Buddha's answer. The Buddha then preached the Anupupigatha, or the progressive sermon. He said, "First, one must practice dana, or charity. Then, one must have sila, or restraint, and morality. That person will receive heavenly births as a reward. However, time in heaven is a finite thing, and that person will have to be reborn and begin the journey towards heaven anew. Only through renunciation can one be free of this cycle. Seeing that Anathapindika was using his wisdom and mindfulness to follow along, the Buddha preached the Four Noble Truths. The first truth of life is the truth of suffering. All beings experience suffering. The second truth is the truth of the cause. All suffering comes from a cause, and that cause is desire. The third truth is the truth of cessation, that desire can be eliminated. It is not permanent. The fourth truth is the truth of the way. There is a way to eliminate that cause, namely by changing your perceptions. As he listened to the progressive sermon, Anathapindika's mind became focused and ready. Listening to the Four Noble Truths activated Anathapindika's existing wisdom. At the end of the sermon, he was established as a Sotapanna, or stream enterer. My lord, your words are beautiful and clear. It is like your teachings have righted what was upside down, made light in the darkness, made clear the cloudy, and given sight to the blind. Anathapindika declared himself a Buddhist for life and invited the Buddha for a meal the following day, which the Buddha accepted. The next day, Anathapindika offered fine foods to the Lord Buddha and his monks. He was overjoyed and exulted at his good fortune. After the meal, Anathapindika made a request of the Buddha. Noble one, I would like to formally request that you and your monks spend the rainy season in my hometown of Savatthi at your earliest convenience. The Buddha accepted this request in silence. Anathapindika was well known and loved. After returning to Savatthi, he encouraged the people he met to make merit together. My good people, a Lord Buddha has arisen in this world. We are beyond fortunate that he will come spend a rainy season here with us. I ask all with good hearts to make merit together. Anathapindika then set out to find a suitable place for the monks to live. It would have to be a place of quiet and isolation so that the monks could practice. Additionally, it would have to be spacious and not too far away from the lay supporters. Eventually, he found a grand garden that was perfect. It was owned by Chetha, the son of King Pasenadi of Kosala and the ruler of Savatthi. So, Anathapindika went to Prince Chetha and asked to buy the garden from him. But Prince Chetha refused to sell. Please, Prince Chetha, please sell me your land. I would be willing to pay any amount for it. Just name your price and you shall have it. I want to donate this land to the Buddha. There is no other land that is more suitable for this purpose. Prince Chetha thought that if he set a ridiculously outrageous price, Anathapindika would be discouraged and leave him alone. So the prince said, Fine, I will sell it to you if you can cover every part of it in gold coins. Sadhu, we have a deal. Thank you for selling me your land. I will get to work filling the land with gold coins. Wait, you're serious? You still want to buy it at that price? Yes, my lord. We have a deal. Thank you so much. Anathapindika began getting his workers to start filling the garden with gold coins. He oversaw the process himself. As Prince Cheta watched, he was impressed by the merchant's tenacity and determination. At many points, the merchant seemed to run out of money, but each time he just had his servants go home and sell his belongings, such as his furniture and expensive personal items. Anathapindika was willing to go any length to buy this land for the Buddha. This was in great contrast to Prince Cheta, a pleasure seeker who was selfish and lazy. But the prince was inspired by Anathapindika and resolved to be more like him. Anathapindika, please stop filling the land with your gold. I can see that you're having trouble and running out of gold. I am inspired and moved by your intentions and dedication. If you will allow it, I will personally donate the rest of the land that is not covered by gold. That is truly blessed and amazing, kind prince. You were already kind enough to allow me to purchase the land. Now you are contributing to the offering for a Buddha. I Anumotana, rejoice at your good intentions and actions. If you will allow me, I wish to name the temple Chetavana in your honor. Anathapindika, you are too humble and kind. You give me too much credit, but I will accept your request. Sadhu, Anumotana with you also. After the land was purchased, Anathapindika began work on building temple buildings. The work did not take long, and soon it was finished. The temple consisted of chanting halls, alms halls, a kitchen, monks' quarters, hospital zones, and much more. When all was ready, Anathapindika sent messengers to formally invite the Buddha to come stay at the temple. The Lord Buddha traveled to Savatthi with many monks. The villagers who came to see the Lord Buddha were awestruck by his grace and radiance. Once the Buddha arrived, Anathapindika formally offered the temple to the Buddha, thereby relinquishing all ownership. I, Anathapindika, donate the Chetavana temple and all things contained within to the Buddha and the bhikkhus who travel from all directions. May this temple serve as a vessel for the expansion and growth of the Buddha's Dhamma, and may this help many people see the truth of the Dhamma for themselves. I dedicate this merit to my future karma and share it with my family, loved ones, and all that care to rejoice, spirits and humans alike. May all beings be happy and free from suffering. Not too long after, Anathapindika's accountants informed him that he was running dangerously low on money. His debtors had chosen to not repay their loans, and Anathapindika had not been earning money by traveling and trading. However, Anathapindika said, "Money and things were not with us when we were born. They will not come with us after death. They can only be relied on temporarily while we are alive. Good deeds and bad deeds, our karma, are the only things we will take with us after death. I will focus my life on that, not on amassing wealth." Anathapindika dedicated himself to offering alms to the Buddha and all his monks every day with his own hands. One day, the Buddha asked him, "Anathapindika, are you still giving alms every day?" "Yes, my lord. I am very lucky to be able to do so. It fills me with joy." On another day, the Buddha asked him, Anathapindika, are you still giving alms every day? Yes, my lord. However, the quality of my meals has fallen. The rice is no longer whole grain. It is broken rice. The soup is no longer fancy, but rather, it is just simple pickle brine. Anathapindika, do not think like that. In the past, there was a very rich man, much richer than you can imagine, who wanted to make a great dana, a great giving. He owned multiple elephants, horses, and other animals. He had numerous chests filled with gold, silver, and choice linens and cloth. However, his dana yielded no great result. Why not? Well, there were no enlightened beings in the world at that time. Therefore, there was no one worthy to receive his dana. Even if he had given to thousands of people, his resulting merit would pale in comparison to what he would have received if he had given to just a single person who achieved stream entry, a sotapanna. But had he given to 100 sotapannas, that would still yield less merit than if he had given to only one sakadagami, a once returner. But had he given to 100 sakadagamis, that would still result in less merit than if he had given to one anagami, a non-returner. But had he given to 100 anagamis, that would still provide less merit than if he had given to just a single arahanta, one who was fully enlightened. But had he given to 100 arahantas, that would still yield less merit than if he had given to only one Pancheka Buddha, a self-awakened but non-teaching arahant. But giving to a Pancheka Buddha yields less merit than giving to a Sammasambuddha, a self-awakened and teaching arahant. In addition, giving alms to the Buddha creates still less merit than giving alms to the Buddha and his retinue of enlightened Sangha. And even further still, giving alms to a Buddha and his Sangha is still less merit than building a temple and offering it to the Buddha. However, all these merits are external merits. They are done by giving to others. These merits pale in comparison to merits received through internal practice and contemplation. If one were to place their faith in the triple gem, the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha, they would receive more merit than building many temples for the Buddha. If that same person were to dedicate themselves to not breaking the 5 precepts and doing no evil, they would receive even more merit. If that same person were to experience true metta, compassion, sympathy, empathy, and understanding for any being in the cosmos, they would receive even more merit. However, the highest merit one can cultivate in any life is to see the truth of impermanence, even for an instant. At this, all of Anathapindika's sadness and doubt immediately disappeared, and instead, He was overwhelmed by joy and exuberance at his luck. Not only had he done all the highest worldly merits possible, he also achieved the highest personal merit. On one Buddhist Uposatha day, Anathapindika had a conversation with his employees about a particular new laborer. He asked them if they had told the new hire that today was the Uposatha day and that everyone was fasting. They said that they hadn't. Anathapindika then told them to prepare food for the new hire. When the new hire came in for dinner, he saw that the room was clean and empty. There was one meal prepared for him. He asked, "Sir, has everyone else already eaten? Have I arrived too late?" The lead worker said, "No, today is the Uposatha day. Anathapindika leads us in fasting and prayer. We do this to develop our paramitas, our qualities, and to gain good karma for desirable future rebirths." "Well then, sir, I wish to Atitana and swear to take the 8 precepts today on this Uposatha day. May the merits gained today help me develop strong paramitas and lead to desirable rebirths in my future." However, since he hadn't had any food all day and worked hard doing manual labor, the new hire was in tremendous pain. The other workers were worried about him and told Anathapindika, who rushed to check on the new hire. "Young man, are you okay? I was told you were ill." "Sir, I'm in pain, but happy to bear it." "Young man, you didn't even know about the Uposatha today when you were hired. It is okay if you eat something. You can always do the Uposatha next time." "My lord, I see how you have inspired so many people to observe the precepts on the Uposatha day. I have already made my vow. Please allow me to keep my word." "I see. Then I respect your wishes and anumotana. I rejoice with your dedication." In the end, the young man was not able to overcome the pain and passed away in the night. Anathapindika helped take care of the young man's funeral costs. However, after passing away, the young man was reborn as a Dewa, an angelic being in a large tree on Anathapindika's property. The dedication and steadfastness he held during his last day yielded fruit as his favorable rebirth. The Dewa said, "By observing the Uposatha precepts for only a half day, and by not giving up once I gave my word, and being willing to trade my life for what I believe to be a good cause, I've been reborn as a Dewa. It is so marvelous that even through meeting Anathapindika for one day, I was able to be inspired." There was a family of low-level Dewas living in a virtual space above one of the entranceways of Anathapindika's mansions. As customary of the rules of their realm and status, whenever monks walked through the arch, the family of Dewas had to leave. It was improper for them to physically position themselves above the monks, who were of higher spiritual attainment than the Dewas. Since Anathapindika invited the monks for alms and offerings many times a day, every day, the Dewas had to leave their home quite often. Very angry and annoyed, the head Dewa decided to do something about it, but he was afraid to speak to Anathapindika directly. So the Dewa decided to find others to do so. He went to visit a servant and said, Awaken, for I have urgent news to discuss with you. I am a Dewa that lives in the virtual area above the fourth archway. As a servant of the Master, you should help him look after his wealth. As you can see, he used to be very wealthy. Now, his wealth is disappearing every day. He is giving away all his wealth by donating to the Buddha and his monks. He no longer travels to sell and trade his wares to increase his wealth. Speak to your master. Tell him to cease donating and return to trading. This will be to the benefit of all. Spirit, you awakened to tell me this? You are misguided. You are confused. You should not speak this way. If the master hears you speaking this way, you will not like his response. Go. If this is your news, I have heard it, and it is foolish. Leave me. The Dewa was very upset and disappointed at having failed to convince the servant. Next, the Dewa decided to visit Anathapindika's son, Gala. The Dewa said, Gala, son of the Master, awaken. I am the Dewa that lives in the virtual space above the fourth archway. I have urgent advice to bestow. The Master, your father, has been giving away too many donations. He is doing too much dana. These monks come every day and just take and take. They do not do any work, nor do they trade anything for your father's gifts. All this charity is depleting your father's wealth. How will we live without money? Think about all that we have. Think about all that we enjoy. Is it not because of the money your father has earned? Now what will happen once that money is gone? Imagine losing all this. Speak to your father, tell him to stop giving dana and to return to trading goods. Dewa, you are misguided. Your advice does not help as you think it might. If he followed your advice, it would lead to his loss, not his gain. The monks who you think give us nothing actually give more than any of us could ever repay. Because of your misguided beliefs, you do not see the benefit. Do not think this way any further. It will not end the way you think it will. It will end in your own detriment. I will not speak to my father as you advise. Misguided spirit, be gone. The misguided Dewa decided that he would bring his qualms directly to Anathapindika. The Dewa visited him during the night and said, Anathapindika, master of the house, wealthy merchant, awaken. It is I, the Dewa who lives in the virtual space above the fourth archway. I have very important issues to discuss with you. What do you have to discuss, Dewa? Anathapindika, all you have, you've gained through trade and hard work. In the past, you've spent it to create comfort and pleasure for yourself and others around you. Everyone has benefited from your wealth. Now, however, you no longer travel to trade your wares. You no longer make money. Instead, you give it away. Your wealth is rapidly depleting. This will lead to no good result for you and others you care about. Think about the future. If you give away all your wealth now, what will you have in the future? How can you take care of your family and many servants? How will you maintain your many homes? You should stop doing dana and focus on making money. Stop giving alms and gifts to these monks who visit your home every day. Instead, return to your caravan routes and visit your trade partners and amass your wealth once again. Spirit, I thought you came to speak to me about something important. Instead, you speak to me of foolishness. Even if I lost all my wealth, I would never stop giving dana. Even if I had to give my life, I would never stop giving dana You are severely misguided and not worthy to be a Dewa who resides in my home. I do not desire those of ill intent or misguided beliefs to live with or near me. Be gone from my home. According to the rules of the realms, the Dewa was only living there as a spiritual guest of Anathapindika. In addition, since Anathapindika was already a Sotapanna, he was of a much higher status than the misguided Dewa. With only the word "be gone," the misguided Dewa lost his right to continue living on the property of Anathapindika. He was immediately expelled a great distance away. The misguided Dewa and his family were now in great distress. They had nowhere to live and no one to serve as the source of their spiritual pleasures. The misguided Dewa went to visit many high-ranking Dewas to ask for help. Great Spirit, protector of the land of Sawati, please help us. Please assign us a place to stay. Dewa, how does it come that you are homeless and now need a place to stay? After the misguided Dewa confessed his actions to the Great Spirit, the Great Spirit said, "It is by your own actions that you have brought this suffering upon yourself. You have attempted to persuade those that are doing good to cease their cultivation of merit, merely for your own comfort and to assuage your own fears. This is selfish and misguided. I cannot be the one to place a Dewa such as you into a new residence. You must consult higher authorities." And so, the misguided Dewa sought the counsel of the 4 heavenly kings. He confessed his actions to them and requested their help.
Foolish, foolish Dewa, you forgot your place. You achieved your status of a lowly Dewa through the good actions you took while still alive. Now you seek to block and dissuade others from doing good. That in itself is an evil action. Furthermore, the good actions that you seek to block are not just simple good actions. They are incomparable.
A Buddha has been born into this world, and the wealthy merchant is giving dana to him. There is no higher dana that can be given in this world, or any other worlds. Yet instead of anumotana, rejoicing with his great actions, you seek to end this action. This is beyond evil. We cannot preside over or change your karma. Seek advice from higher powers. And so, the misguided Dewa went to ask for advice from Saka, the king of all gods. By this time, the misguided Dewa had reflected upon his actions and felt great guilt and remorse. Instead of asking Saka to wash away his evil, he asked Saka to seek forgiveness from Anathapindika on his behalf. Dewa, I cannot seek forgiveness from others for your actions. This is not how karma works. Whatever action we commit, whether good or evil, we will receive the result of those actions. No one is exempt from this irrefutable law of karma. Not even Dewas, the 4 kings, or even I myself, Saka. However, I can give you advice. Your actions were evil and fueled by misguided beliefs. Clear your misguided selfish beliefs and invest your energy in doing good and beneficial actions instead. Do not wallow in self-pity or depression. Instead, actively seek out ways to grow and atone for your past actions. You say that the merchant Anathapindika's wealth is dwindling. You are a Dewa. You have lived for much longer than the lifespan of a normal human. You have the knowledge that you can use to help you in your atonement. Do so, The misguided Dewa humbly took the advice from Saka and began to see a way out of his self-imposed suffering. The evil actions of the past, in trying to stop others from giving dana, caused his eviction. This was old karma. However, his current actions of depression, guilt, and pity were new decisions, new karmic actions that he was consciously making every moment. He decided to stop wallowing in self-pity, guilt, and depression, and to take action. Anathapindika had many debtors who shirked their responsibilities and avoided repaying their loans. The misguided Dewa visited them in their dreams and convinced them to repay their debts to Anathapindika. Through his long life of Dewahood, the misguided Dewa gained knowledge of an unclaimed treasure, found it, and brought it to Anathapindika. With his heart full of repentance and humility, the misguided Dewa once again visited Anathapindika. Master, distinguished merchant and great giver of dana to the worthy ones, I have learned the error of my ways. I have attempted to atone for my evil by pressuring your debtors to repay their debts, and for having unclaimed buried treasure to be brought to you. By my actions, I hope that you can forgive me for my folly and selfishness. I have learned my lesson. Please forgive me. Dewa, if you present your story to the Buddha and he forgives you, I will as well. And so Anathapindika and the Dewa went to visit the Buddha. The Dewa presented the entire story to the Buddha and asked for his forgiveness. Anathapindika's immediate family consisted of his wife Punalakkhana, his son Kala, and his 3 daughters, Mahasubhata, Chulasubhata, and Sumana. Anathapindika's son troubled him. Kala was stubborn. He didn't observe the precepts on Uposathat days with the rest of the family. He preferred to have fun with his friends out on the town. One day, Anathapindika asked his son, Kala, how would you like 100 kahapanas? Father, of course I would. I have one condition for you though, son. Anything, father. Tell me. On this Uposatha day, you have to uphold the precepts and listen to the Buddha's sermons. Then you can come ask me for the money next morning. Kala kept his word, but was tricky about it. He observed the precepts and went to the temple to hear the Buddha's sermons. However, during the sermons, he took the opportunity to fantasize and take naps. Son, did you do as you promised? I did, father. Anathapindika looked at his son and could tell that nothing had changed within him. So then, Anathapindika asked, Kala, how would you like 1,000 kahapanas? Seriously, father? I would definitely like 1,000 kahapanas. Then, son, all you have to do is come with me to the monastery tomorrow. Your only job will be to memorize one Dhamma teaching from the Buddha. If you can do that, then the money is yours. And so, the next day, Kala went to hear a sermon from the Buddha. This time, he sat in the front and paid special attention. The Buddha, reading Kala's mind, knew Kala's intentions. The Buddha used his abilities to make certain that Kala could not memorize a single line. As hard as Kala tried, he could not commit a single line of Dhamma to memory. Gala doubled his focus and paid special attention. He decided that if he tried to understand the sermon instead of just memorizing, he might be able to memorize it more easily. Once Gala listened carefully, he was able to fully understand the Dhamma's meaning with his heart. He penetrated the veil of ignorance and released his attachment to his physical form, becoming a Sotapanna. The next morning, Gala accompanied the Buddha to Anathapindika's house. The wealthy patron noticed a change in his son's actions and couldn't help but smile. Gala helped prepare the food offering with diligence. Much to the delighted surprise of his father, Gala was embarrassed by his previous attitude and was hoping with all his might that his father would not mention anything about it publicly. However, in front of the Buddha, Anathapindika presented his son with the 1,000 Gahapanas. Gala was ashamed and said, "Father, I do not want that money. Please take it back." The Buddha then explained, "Householder, your son has received something countless times more valuable than 1,000 Gahapanas. He has become a Sotapanna and will never be reborn in a hell state ever again. Within 7 lives, he is guaranteed enlightenment." Anathapindika quickly and wholeheartedly anumotana or rejoiced with his son's achievement, and from then on, Gala became a dedicated supporter and patron of Buddhism. He was eventually known as Little Anathapindika. Eventually, Gala was married to Suchata, a sister to Visakha, the chief female patron of the Buddha. Suchata was very proud of herself. She was the sister to the wealthy Visakha and the daughter-in-law of the wealthy Anathapindika. Instead of following in their footsteps and giving charity and being virtuous, she was instead proud and haughty. She abused the servants and spread fear and hostility everywhere she went. One day, during a food offering for the Buddha and his Sangha, Suchata could be heard yelling and screaming at some servants. The Buddha noticed this and asked for her to be summoned. Once Suchata arrived and found a seat, the Buddha asked her, "Suchata, there are 7 kinds of wives. Which one do you wish to be?" Suchata, confused, asked, "My lord, I do not know what you mean. Please explain." The first type of wife is one who is unfeeling and loves other men while despising her husband. For he who with wealth has gained her, she would even seek to kill. Such a wife is a slayer. Whatever her husband gets through hard work or trade, she tries to take some for herself. Such a wife is a thief. The slothful glutton who is bent on being lazy, a woman rude and fierce with rough speech. To the man who supports her, she dominates. Such a wife is known as a tyrant. The wife who always cares for her husband, with sympathy, like a mother for her son, who carefully guards his wealth. Such a wife is known as a mother. The wife who holds her husband in high regards, as a younger sister holds the eldest born, who humbly serves her husband's every wish. Such a wife is known as a sister. The wife who is happy to see her husband, like friends who meet after a long time away, who is virtuous, devoted to her husband. Such a wife is known as a friend. Free of any anger, afraid of punishment, the wife who deals with her husband with a patient heart, without grudges, obeys his every wish. Such a wife is known as a handmaid. The slayer, the tyrant, or the thief, such wives upon their death are bound for hellish rebirths and misery. But wives like the mother, sister, friend, and handmaid, upon their death are destined for happiness and pleasing rebirths. Of these 7 types of wives a man may have, which of them are you, Suchata? Suchata, deeply moved by the words of the Buddha, was ashamed of how she acted. Through her contemplation, she became a Sotapanna. She then made an Atitana, resolving to be a handmaid wife for her husband. Afterwards, the Buddha and the monks returned to the Chetavana monastery. There, the monks talked amongst themselves and said, "By only one teaching, the Buddha was able to tame the bad wife and help elevate her to the level of Sotapanna. How marvelous! How splendid!" The Buddha then said, "Monks, this is not the first time that I have tamed Suchata by a single admonition." After the monk's request, the Buddha told the story of the past. Once upon a time, when Brahmadatta reigned in Benares, the Bodhisattva was born as a son of the king's chief consort. When the Bodhisattva grew up, he received an education at the world-famous school Takasila, and after the death of his father, he became king and ruled righteously. The Bodhisattva's mother was a passionate, cruel, and mean-spirited woman. She was often found berating the servants. The Bodhisattva badly wished to admonish his mother, but he felt that a direct scolding would be too disrespectful towards the one who gave him life. While the king, his mother, and some advisors were going for a walk, they happened to see a beautiful blue jay. However, when they got near, the blue jay screeched a horrible noise. All the advisors stopped and covered their ears. "What a disgusting, harsh voice! Please stop! Please stop!" Not too long after that, the Bodhisattva and his retinue went to a nearby garden. There, they saw a plain cuckoo bird. However, when the cuckoo began to sing, everyone was delighted. The advisors said, "Oh, what a soft voice! What a kind, gentle voice! Please sing, cuckoo bird. Please sing for us." The Bodhisattva, noting the two situations, realized that this was a good opportunity to teach his mother by using a real-life parallel. He said, "Mother, did you notice how when the blue jay shrieked, everyone covered their ears and said, 'Please stop, please stop'? Even though the blue jay was beautiful to look at, once he opened his mouth and let forth his harsh voice, no one wanted to listen to him. However, Mother, do you remember the cuckoo bird? It was a plain black bird. However, when it opened its mouth to sing, Its voice was soft and pleasant. Everyone was happy and excited to listen to every note it sang. Therefore, Mother, it is obvious, is it not? Your voice should be gentle and sweet, rather than full of anger and conceit. Once you make your voice soft and kind, imagine how many people would flock to hear you speak. The Bodhisattva's mother was ashamed that she had acted poorly. She agreed with the parallel and resolved to change her ways. She saw the danger in continuing to act rudely, and by only one lesson, the Bodhisattva was able to tame his mother. When the Buddha ended his teaching, he identified the birth by saying, Suchata was the mother of the king of Benares, and I was the king himself. Mahasubhata, Anathapindika's oldest daughter, was responsible for taking care of the monks who came for alms at Anathapindika's house. After having had a chance to listen to the Buddha's sermon, she became enlightened as a Sotapanna. Later, she married and went to live with her husband. She eventually persuaded her husband's family to convert to Buddhism. After Mahasubhata left, Chulasubhata, Anathapindika's second daughter, took over her duties. After Chulasubhata listened to a sermon by the Buddha, she too became a Sotapanna. After a while, she got married and left to go live with her husband. And so, the job of looking after the monks fell to Sumana, the youngest daughter of Anathapindika. One day, Sumana fell very ill, and Anathapindika rushed to her side. He asked her, "My dear Sumana, what is wrong?" Sumana weakly responded, "Brother, I am okay." Anathapindika was confused and asked her, "Daughter, you do not know what you are saying." Sumana responded, "Younger brother, I do." Anathapindika, worried, asked, "Daughter, are you afraid?" Sumana responded, "Younger brother, I am not." And after a short while, Sumana passed away. Anathapindika could not contain his grief. In addition, he felt burdened that his daughter died in an apparent state of delirium. Anathapindika went to visit the Buddha, and the Buddha asked, "Anathapindika, why are you crying?" "My lord, my youngest daughter Sumana has just died. Before she died, she was speaking nonsense and lost control of her mind. She kept calling me brother. I tried to help her recall her mindfulness, but she would not stop calling me brother. I fear she died in a state of delirium and am worried about her rebirth." Anathapindika, your daughter was not speaking nonsense, nor did she lose her mind. She was right in calling you her brother. In a worldly sense, you are her father in this life. However, in a Dhamma sense, you are a Sotapanna, and your daughter had obtained enlightenment as a Sakadagami, a higher level than yours. Thus, you are her younger brother in the Dhamma. "I am delighted to hear that, my lord. May I ask where she was reborn?" "She has been reborn as a Dewa in the Dusita heaven." Anathapindika also had a nephew who had squandered his inheritance of 40 million. His nephew lived a wild life of drinking and gambling. When his nephew ran out of money, he came to Anathapindika to beg for some support. Anathapindika, without asking, gave him 1,000 gold coins. Within a short time, his nephew spent all his money and came back to beg for more. Once again, Anathapindika gave him 5,000 gold coins, this time telling him that it would be the last time. However, for a third time, after he spent all the money, his nephew returned to beg for more support. This time, Anathapindika gave him 2 pieces of clothing and turned him away. Somehow, the nephew managed to squander even the 2 pieces of clothing and came back to beg for more support. This time, instead of receiving help, Anathapindika told him to leave. Before too long, his nephew died. His body was found on the refuse pile outside the city wall. Anathapindika was sad that he couldn't help his nephew. He wondered if there was anything different he could have done. He decided to consult the Buddha. Once the Buddha heard the story, the Buddha said, "How could you expect to satisfy a person whom I myself failed to satisfy a long time ago, even after I gave him the wishing cup?" Then, at Anathapindika's request for clarification, the Buddha told the following story. Once upon a time, the Bodhisattva was born as a rich merchant's son. Under the house was a buried treasure of 400 million. After his father's death, the Bodhisattva took his place. He had a son of his own. The Bodhisattva saw money as a temporary tool that could be used to generate good karma, and spent the remainder of his life giving alms and doing good. After he died, he was reborn as Sakka, the king of the gods. As for the Bodhisattva's son, he spent all his time drinking, gambling, and wasting money on girls. He saw money as a way to buy pleasure, and that was all he did with it. After not too long, he squandered all 400 million. He ended up poor and had to beg for food and live on the streets. One day, Sakka looked down to earth and saw how miserable his son from his past life was. Overcome with love for his son, he came down and gave him a magic cup. He explained, "This cup is known as the wishing cup. As long as you keep it, your wealth will never come to an end. Take good care of it." Then, Sakka returned to heaven. Instead of taking care of it, the son used the wishing cup to drink alcohol. He did not see the wishing cup as a second chance to reform himself, but instead as a chance to continue his trek into destruction. One day, while very intoxicated, he threw the cup into the air. When it came down, he was unable to catch it, and it broke upon impact with the ground. Once again, the young man became poor and eventually lived in rags and lived on the streets. Eventually, he died leaning against a dirty wall. And then the Buddha explained. In that life, Anathapindika, your nephew was the drunkard's son who broke the wishing cup, and I was Saka. The first time Anathapindika fell gravely ill, he requested a visit from a monk in order to receive consolation. Because of all he had done to support the Sangha, they sent the Venerable Ananda. Anathapindika said, Venerable Sir, I am not getting better. Strong, painful feelings are increasing in me. These are not subsiding, and I am very concerned. The Venerable Ananda, hearing of the great benefactor's illness, said to him, Householder, if a person is uninstructed and possesses these 4 things, they will have fear of imminent death. These 4 things are distrust in the Buddha, distrust in the Dhamma, distrust in the Sangha, immorality. However, the instructed noble disciple who possesses these 4 things will have no fear of imminent death. These 4 things are trust in the Buddha, trust in the Dhamma, trust in the Sangha, morality. The noble disciple knows that the Buddha is the supreme teacher of Devas and humans. They have been astoundingly lucky to have been born in an era that contained a Buddha. And through their faith and trust in the Buddha, they have a refuge that will guide them in future rebirths and lead the way towards enlightenment. When the disciple thinks this way, they will have no fear of imminent death. The noble disciple knows that the Dhamma, the teachings of the Buddha, have been taught well and in a way that can be practiced and understood. They will know that their faith and trust in the Dhamma will lead them towards better rebirths and future enlightenment. When the disciple thinks this way, they have no fear of imminent death. The noble disciple knows that the Sangha, the enlightened followers of the Buddha, have practiced well, have practiced correctly, and have practiced in a straightforward manner. They are a living example of the fact that if one follows the path set forth by the Buddha, one can also achieve awakening and enlightenment. They know that the Sangha is an unsurpassed field of merit for the world. They will know that their faith and trust in the Sangha, and their having made merit with the Sangha, will lead them towards better rebirths and future enlightenment. When the disciple thinks this way, they have no fear of imminent death. The noble disciple knows that they have lived a life of morality. They have chosen the less harmful choices, and they have been charitable and practiced restraint. When they reflect back on their life choices and actions, they have no fear of the karmic retribution. For the noble disciple who possesses these 4 things, there is no fear of imminent death. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Venerable Sir, I am not afraid. Why should I be afraid? I possess unshakable confidence and trust in the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. I have lived my life morally and virtuously. Anathapindika, that is wonderful. What a gain for you. What you have just declared is the mindset of one who is a stream enterer, a Sotapanna. They have unshakable trust in the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. They live a morally virtuous life. They have no fear of imminent death. Upon their death, they are certain they will be born in heavenly abodes or in favorable rebirths until they reach guaranteed enlightenment. Such is the mindset of a Sotapanna. And with that, Anathapindika focused his mind on the Buddha, the Dhamma, the Sangha, and his morality. His pain and suffering began to fade and was replaced with joy and confidence. Then, for a second time, Anathapindika fell gravely ill and requested a monk from the order to see him for comfort. This time, the Venerable Sariputta made the journey. "Sir, I feel much pain. I can hardly bear it. My pain is not subsiding, and I am not getting better. Please give me comfort, sir." Anathapindika, see here. Those with distrust in the Buddha, when they die, are reborn in the plane of misery, in the plane of suffering, in a bad destination, in hell. They have no hope, no guidance, no path to follow. But you have faith and trust in the Buddha. Focus your thoughts upon this. You will not be destined for the plane of misery, the plane of suffering, a bad destination, or hell. As you consider your faith in the Buddha, your pains may subside. Anathapindika, see here. Those who do not have trust in the Dhamma are reborn in the plane of misery, in the plane of suffering, in a bad destination, in hell. They have no teachings, no guide to follow, no way to discern properly right from wrong. But you have faith and trust in the Dhamma. Focus your thoughts upon this. You will not be destined for the plane of misery, the plane of suffering, a bad destination, or hell. As you consider your faith in the Dhamma, your pains may subside. Anathapindika, see here. Those who do not have trust in the Sangha are reborn in the plane of misery, in the plane of suffering, in a bad destination, in hell. They have no righteous role models. They have no one to inspire confidence and faith. They have no one to guide and teach them in the truths of the world. But you have faith and trust in the Sangha. Focus your thoughts upon this. You will not be destined for the plane of misery, the plane of suffering, a bad destination, or hell. As you consider your faith in the Sangha, your pains may subside. Anathapindika, see here. Those who have lived an immoral life are reborn in the plane of misery, in the plane of suffering, in a bad destination, in hell. They must reap the karmic repercussions of their immoral actions. But you do not have immorality. You will not be destined for the plane of misery, the plane of suffering, a bad destination, or hell. As you consider your past virtues, your pains may subside. In addition, you have the right view, the right thoughts, the right speech, the right actions, the right livelihood, the right effort, the right mindfulness, the right concentration, the right knowledge, the right liberation of which the faithless and uninstructed do not. If you consider your already attained liberation, your pains may subside on the spot. And then, the Venerable Sariputta concluded by saying, "Whoever has faith in the Tathagata, unwavering and fixed, whose life is good, praised by the noble ones and dear to them, whoever is likewise loyal to the Sangha, whose views are clear and straight. He is not poor," they say. "His life was not lived in vain." Therefore, the wise should cultivate faith, virtue, and the clear vision of the Dhamma, bearing the Buddha's message in their minds. And with that, the pains of Anathapindika subsided on the spot. And for a third time, Anathapindika fell gravely ill. His pains increased and did not subside. He told one of his closest servants, "My good man, please go to the Blessed One. Upon arrival, pay homage to him and say, 'The householder Anathapindika is diseased, in pain, and severely ill. He pays homage with his head at the Blessed One's feet. Then go to the Venerable Sariputta, and on arrival, pay homage at his feet with your head in my name, and say, Venerable Sir, Anathapindika the householder is diseased, in pain, severely ill. He pays homage to you with his head at your feet. Then say to him, it would be good if Venerable Sariputta would visit Anathapindika's home, out of sympathy for him." The Venerable Sariputta put on his robes, and taking his outer robe and bowl, went to the home of Anathapindika, with the Venerable Ananda as his attendant. Upon arrival, the Venerable Sariputta said, "I trust you are getting better, Anathapindika. I trust you are comfortable. I trust that your pains are lessening and not increasing. Venerable sirs, I am not getting better. I am not comfortable. My severe pains are increasing, not lessening. I feel as if a strong man were slicing my head open with a sharp sword. Extreme pains have arisen in my stomach, as if a butcher were carving up the stomach of an ox with a sharp knife. I am not getting better, sir. I am not comfortable." Then the Venerable Sariputta said, "You should train yourself in this way. You should think. I will not cling to the 6 sense faculties, the eye, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. I will not attach to them. My consciousness will not be dependent on these things. I will not cling to the 6 objects, forms, sounds, smells, tastes, tactile sensations, and mind objects. I will not attach to them. My consciousness will not be dependent on these things. I will not cling to the 6 senses and the 6 objects. I will not attach to them. My consciousness will not be dependent on these things. I will not cling to the 4 elements, the 5 aggregates, the 4 formless realms, as well as to all that is seen, heard, thought, perceived, and investigated in the mind. I will not attach to them. My consciousness will not be dependent on these things." At the end of the sermon, the Venerable Ananda noticed Anathapindika was weeping and shedding tears. The Venerable Ananda then compassionately said, "Are you losing control? Are you sinking into the depths of your pain? Try to be calm and be at peace." Anathapindika took a second to compose himself and said, "My lords, I cannot be calm. I cannot be at peace. O worthy ones, I have served the master and accomplished monks for so long, yet I have never heard such a profound and deep discourse." The Venerable Sariputta then responded, "Householder, Dhamma talk of this sort is not given to lay people. It is given to those who have ordained and seek a path towards full liberation." In that case, Venerable Sariputta, let such talks be given to lay people too. There are those out there with only a little dust on their eyes. If they don't hear such teachings, they will be lost. Some of them will be able to understand it. For their sake, please share teachings such as this with them. Not too long after their talk, the two monks got up and left. Anathapindika, full of bliss from the moving Dhamma discourse he experienced, peacefully passed away. He was immediately reborn in the Dusita heaven, where his youngest daughter had preceded him. He was so filled with devotion to the Buddha that he appeared in the Cheta Grove as a Dewa and filled the whole area with light. The Dewa, paying his respects to the Buddha by circling him 3 times, always keeping the Buddha on his right, said, "This blessed grove, frequented by the Sangha, where the Dhamma King resides, the fount of all my happiness, by deeds, by knowledge, by righteousness, by virtue, by the sublimest life. By these are mortals purified, and not by lineage or wealth. A wise man, therefore, seeing his own good, wisely will he choose the Dhamma, that he may be purified, like Sariputta in his wisdom, in his virtue, and in highest peace. At best a bhikkhu, monk, who has gone across, can at most only equal him." What did you learn from this story? We hope you enjoyed the video. Click like if you did, and click subscribe if you want to see our uploads.